Hey, how's it going? Mike here, The Fresh Rents, on location at this Verizon store in Middletown, Ohio, to wash this entire structure. And I want to share with you how I go about pricing commercial projects, specifically buildings that look something like this.
Make it shine so bright. Fresh Rents in town, the future's bright. Fresh Rents might watch you go.
All right, so we're going to take a real quick walk around this building. I'm going to show you that this building is not terribly dirty. However, the owner of this facility is telling me that corporate is requiring that their buildings be cleaned. I'm hoping that this will lead to more washes just like this one. Only a few dirty spots throughout the entire building, with the exception of the back side, which is likely the north side, and it is considerably dirty along the edges. We're going to take care of all of that. I tried to upsell the concrete. The owner tells me they're only obligated to wash the building at this time, and so that's all that I'm washing. There are many ways to price a building like this. In fact, the definition of a commercial job should probably be addressed. In my definition of commercial work, it's anything that's non-residential except for multi-family residence or structures. So maybe a duplex I still put in the category of residential, but anything beyond that I call commercial work, especially larger apartment buildings and complexes, because the individual residents aren't paying for the service, and there's likely an association or an owner that's paying for the service. Then I call those buildings, those jobs, commercial jobs. I'm treating this entire side of this building with a 5% solution with my roof pump. This would be a great job for the AR-45, which, by the way, is going back on the truck very, very soon. And then you guys can get off my back about that. You can see already it's taking effect. This should be an easy wash. So this job came by way of a Google search. Even though I do not have a website and never have, I do get a lot of work from Google. The nice lady apparently typed in pressure washer near me and then proceeded to give me a call. And so I'm happy that she did. By the way, the billing address is her home. And so I looked that up. It's not far from me. I'm hoping that this will land more work than just this building. Now, apparently she had done her research, because she said, I'm afraid for you to put pressure on the building because a lot of it is this stucco or drive-it material. And she said, do you offer that soft wash process? I said, you're in luck. That's exactly what I do. And so here we are washing this building. Now, there are 3 of the most common methods for pricing commercial work. We're going to discuss all 3, and then I'm going to tell you my mode or my favorite method for pricing commercial work like this. So one method we might call pricing by the hour. So you come up with how long you think a commercial job is going to take, and then you multiply that by how much you need to make per hour. That seems to work best when you have multiple employees that will be on the job, and you need to know how many man hours that you need to bill, or at least how many man hours you need to put down on your paper so that you know how much money you can expect to make on a job. If you work less hours, then you make more money. But if you work more hours than expected, you're going to lose money. That's one method. I tend to use that hourly method or time-based method on larger commercial jobs such as factories, warehouses, things of that nature. I take a look at it and I ask myself, how many days is this going to take? I know how much I need to make on a day, and then I multiply the hours or the days based upon how long it's going to take me to wash that building. The second method for pricing commercial work would be based on square footage, much like residential work. So how big is the building? Multiply that by your price per square foot, what have you, and you come up with your number. I don't like that method. In my opinion, the problem with pricing commercial work based on square footage is that commercial work, unlike residential work, has far too many variables. Like, you can't wash a grease factory based on square footage, or even some dumpster pads or restaurants. You really need to get eyes on the project so you can determine the difficulty of the project and then begin your pricing. Okay, so now that I have all the heavy organic growth around the entire building coated with sodium hypochlorite, I am now going to use my 8 GPM machine to wash the rest of the building, downstreaming with a 2.3 injector. And I'm going to tell you how I price this job. So here's how I do it. I look at this building. I measure it with my online program. I use MeasureMap Pro to measure roofs, buildings, driveways, etc., etc. Once I come up with a square footage, I then ask myself, how many houses can I put into a building of this size with this square footage? How many houses can I fit inside this Verizon building? I estimated this building would be the equivalent of 2 of my 2-story house washes that I wash on a daily basis. I then multiply that number 2, by my standard house washing price. Once again, for a standard 2-story house wash in my area. And then I add 40%. And the reason I add 40% is for the unknowns. Things such as water flow. Am I going to have to deal with customers? What about traffic? There are a great many things that are to be accounted for that you can't account for, and that's what the 40% allows you to account for. All the unknowns. With house washing or residential work, there are very few unknowns. There may be some, but by and large, we know what we're getting ourselves into, and when we don't, we can make those adjustments. But that method was taught to me years ago by a professional, and it has worked for me for many, many years. I'm going to say it once again. I ask myself, how many 2-story houses that I normally wash on a daily basis can I fit into this building? Then I multiply that by my 2-story house washing price, and I add 40%. Some of you are doing some math right now. In the comment section, tell me, how do you go about pricing commercial work? Specifically, how would you go about pricing this job? Not terribly dirty, a little 12-volt action, a little downstreaming, no concrete work, just the building. And by the way, I'm almost done. And I have been here about 45 minutes. One last thing, Another reason why we might add the 40% is because these jobs often have to be done after hours. So while my wife is at home by herself, waiting for me to come home so we can take our nightly walk, I'm out washing. And that deserves an extra 40%. In my opinion. You'll notice that area at the bottom that was very black is now clean. It all looks fantastic. Job well done. Now, something I did not mention is that I did not hook up to their water. I don't even know where their water spigot is. But right there's the line. I did fill up at my home before I left. That's 330 gallons. I used roughly a little over 100 gallons on this job of water. So yeah, I really appreciate you watching. I hope that you got some benefit out of this. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell tab, and then you'll never miss another video. My name's Mike, and they call me the Fresh Rinse, and I'm out.
Come on, remember the name.